Belinda and HarperAudio Australia present this unabridged recording of Havoc, the untold magic of Cora Bell. Created by Rebecca Mcritchie and read by Eloise Oxer. The dedication reads, For Evelyn Ida, Kick Butt, RM. For my fellow travellers, Glenn, Brad, Chris, Ash, Robin and Bill, S.O. Chapter 1.
You're a siphon?
Roared King Clang. The Fairy King stared at Cora, his blue eyes wide like dinner plates. Cora Bell squirmed, closing her eye. Her red hair flicked over the scarlet, bumpy scar that covered where her other eye should have been. She was standing inside King Clang's royal hut in the Hollow, the home of the fairies. Tick and Tock, Cora's fairy friends, fluttered in the air beside her. The fairy brothers were about half Cora's size, with big bellies and lots of hair. "Father," whispered Tock to the king. "Shh," said Tick. The Fairy King looked around the hut.
"Siphons, this is..."
he spluttered at a much lower volume. "Bad." Cora met the king's gaze. "I know." Siphons were magical beings that could absorb the magic from others. They were considered very dangerous. Cora hadn't always known she was a siphon. In fact, she hadn't known anything about magic at all. Cora had been living happily in the port town of Urt with an elderly woman named Dot and her cat, Scratch. Cora's world had turned upside down when she accidentally read a spell from a mysterious box that summoned a giant, shadowy creature called a Jinx. Tick and Tock had come to her rescue, and they'd fled Urt, not knowing what had happened to Dot and Scratch. With the fairies' help, Cora had battled the Jinx in Jade City, absorbing some of its magic and physical strength. Cora, Tick and Tock had also faced down a warlock named Archibald Drake, who had discovered Cora's true identity and from whom Cora had siphoned some warlock magic. Since the battle in Jade City, Cora had known what she had to do. She had to find others like her and her family. Tick and Tock had said siphons were hunted and killed for years. She hoped that if there were any of her kind left, they were hidden, safe. Dot and Scratch were also out there somewhere. From where he sat on his throne, feet dangling nowhere near the ground, the Fairy King looked warily at Cora. She stood up straight beneath his stare. King Clang's eyes were red, and his long beard was bedraggled, sticking up at odd directions like it hadn't been brushed in days.
"I was going to say, unexpected."
When they had arrived at the Hollow after leaving Jade City, Fizz, the king's guard, had taken them straight to the royal hut. And it was just as large and as colourful as Cora remembered. Red rugs lined the floor, and the roof was decorated with brightly coloured ribbons and flowers. A long table sat to the side, piled high with plates of fruits and berries and nuts. Her stomach gurgled with hunger.
"I have already been summoned by the council,"
said King Clang, pointing to a message box that sat on a small round table by his throne seat.
"That was quick,"
said Tock.
"They will want to know what happened in Jade City, no doubt," King Clang said.
"Cora stopped a Jinx from destroying everything," said Tick.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?